Block 3, opening the conversation. In this block, we will talk about setting the time and agenda, eliciting a list, negotiating the agenda, using open-ended questions, demonstrating attentive listening skills, demonstrating reflective listening skills. Setting the time and agenda. Depending on the scenario and location of your patient encounter, it can be useful to make a reference to how much time you have to share with the patient. For example, in an outpatient setting, you can make a specific reference to the time. We have about 15 minutes together today, and I want to be sure we make the best use of it to meet your needs. In the inpatient setting, when you are short on time, like during quick afternoon updates, you can make a non-specific reference to stop by for a moment to update you. This helps to set expectations at the very beginning and will hopefully make the rest of the encounter efficient for both you and the patient. Eliciting a list. As soon as you have set the expectation for time, you can now set the agenda for how the rest of the encounter will go. Right away, get a list from the patient about what they want to talk about. Simply ask them, let's start by getting a list of what you would like to talk about today. Remember, it's only a list. This list can include symptoms, concerns, expectations, requests the patient wants to discuss. Do not dive into deeper conversation yet. Reorient your patients by acknowledging each item and then asking, what else? Use what else exhaustively until the patient has nothing more to add to their list. Again, you are only creating a list of items. This will help to set up the outline for the rest of your encounter. Why should we do this? Well, there are 3 evidence-based reasons for this. On average, a patient brings only 4 to 5 complaints to an encounter if asked to list it. Patients don't always mention their chief complaint first. This also decreases doorknob questions. What are doorknob questions? They're questions that your patient asks you right as you are heading out the door. Now you have your list. Now you can negotiate your agenda. Figure out which is the patient's priority. Simply ask them, of the items you mentioned, which is the most important to you? Then you decide which items you want to address now or later, or which items are appropriate to be addressed by someone else. Now add some of your own agenda to the list, something like, I also want to talk to you about your blood work. Now you have your list and you want to dive deeper into their problem. Allow the patient to tell their story. Give them the opportunity to speak. Ask open-ended questions to get the story out. For example, tell me all about such and such. What brought you in today? Particular situation where you know a patient has had to repeat their story multiple times to multiple providers already, you can say something like, I understand you are here for such and such. What more can you share with me? The whole purpose of this is to allow the patient the opportunity to speak. Hopefully the patient has already shared much information with you, and now you can go into your routine clinician-directed history building to fill in the rest of the blanks to complete the HPI portion of your encounter. As the patient speaks, you are listening through attentive listening skills. This includes staying silent, using nonverbal encouragement, like nodding your head or giving them a pensive look, or using continuers, like oh and ah and hmm. Then use reflective listening skills. Echo some of the words or phrases the patient states. Request, hey, say more about such and such. And summarize. Let me see if I have this right. So 2 days ago, you had such and such, and then, etc., etc. Remember, you are learning the bookends of a conversation with your patient. Instead of your traditional clinician-directed history building to obtain an HPI, we have added some skills to the beginning of your encounter. This will actually shorten the time you need to build a full HPI. You would then complete your physical exam, and then stay tuned for when you will learn simple relationship-centered techniques to help close your encounter.